Professor Kulkarni, Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Dr. Salunke, the Group Director, WeSchool, Advocate Desai, Dr. Awasthi, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen present here. When Dr. Soumya contacted me when this book was finished, about to be published, to write the foreword, and I'm sure still, I was actually surprised. So I literally interviewed her for some time. And then I decided to read the book. And only then I wrote the foreword. It was a unique effort from my perspective. Because you either write biography of people or you write description of a program. This one, it seems to me, and I think you had said so at some stage, that it was meant to understand the evolution of not so much the program per se, but the evolution of policies through the biographical tales. So understand, and I think as an exercise, I personally felt this was a unique exercise to, and one thinks of it rarely, many people say Dr. Bhabha had a plan for making a bomb. Because he had said at some stage that, look, give us 18 months and we'll produce one. Now, picking up such statements and kind of, making a whole out of a small little nuclear statement is, to my mind, of course it is a fact, it's a truth, but it is extreme extrapolation, which of course is also full of inaccuracies then, because of this large-scale extrapolation. And so in contrast, talking about people, how they evolved, how their work evolved, and in the process try to understand how the national policies in respect of a particular technology or particular activity, in this case nuclear, evolved, I think is an important exercise. And I'm not saying that you can get everything through that, but it's certainly one way of making people understand the evolution in an intelligent way. And I wish to congratulate you. I had done that earlier, but I wish to congratulate Dr. Awasthi and Dr. Barua for this exercise, and also to Professor Mattu. I think he was your guide, right? Yeah, he was your Professor Mattu. Because I think to initiate students into that kind of a thing also, I think it's a sign of a very thoughtful teacher. I want to also compliment FINS. FINS has been trying to promote strategic thought in the country in a variety of strategic areas. Not very easy to do. And but I think the persistence with which they are pursuing this is remarkable. And And so it's no wonder that when this book came out, Finch thought of doing the release in Mumbai. I think this book is already released, but release in Mumbai. So compliments to Finch for doing this. Dr. Salunke mentioned about track 2. So I want to begin by an anecdote connected with track 2. And then, of course, I'll come back to other aspects. And this track 2 activity is fairly common. For some people, it has actually become profession of life. They keep doing track 2 the entire life. So, no disregard to people involved in track 2. I also do. But soon after the nuclear tests, I got dragged into, because several invitations used to come, particularly from United States, but also other countries. And we want to have a track 2 dialogue. And of course, it will be some institution somewhere who will be the Indian host. So at one stage, a proposal came for track 2 dialogue on, let's look at seismicity of the sites, nuclear test sites. Now, it's a very sensitive matter, it's like, we do imaging of, medical imaging of body. These are all sound signals, these are all electromagnetic signals. So, seismic signals are a perfect way of imaging what happened below the ground when the tests took place. It's also a perfect way of imaging what's happening, which we don't see with our eye, both out of natural causes as well as man-made causes. It's also a way of figuring out the activities that is taking place without being physically there, just figure out. So when this proposal came, I was quite alarmed. Everybody said, no, how can we say no? We must discuss. So finally I said, okay, if we have track 2, we will have track 2, but it should be symmetrical. Any international relations have to be necessarily symmetrical. So if you want to talk about Pokhran test site, I want to talk about Nevada test site. If you want to talk about, for example, the seismic correlations and things like that, I want to talk about that as applied to India, but also as applied to the sites in United States. And then why, if you're talking about discussion on seismicity or seismic issue, why talk about only these nuclear test sites? Nuclear reactors are also prone to issues related to, so we should talk about it also. So I sent back a response saying that great idea, but I think we should include all this. And the next response was, and this is from a very, I won't take the name, very respectable lab in US, saying that no, we don't have enough experts to talk about reactor seismology, and there ended the matter. I was very happy. So to cut the light-hearted part apart, I got worried about this track 2 business. So I then went deeper in this. And then I found that track 2 meetings, on either side, the number of people are not too many, 7, 8, that's all. And then I actually figured out that, well, you have a track 2 dialogue. So let's say I'm launching a track 2 dialogue and with, say, another country. So I decide my team, Other side, I can't decide, but I influence that. So whatever I know, I said, no, why can't we have so and so, so and so, so and so? You have a discussion, then you find that somebody is a tough character, very not amenable to what you want to achieve. Now this track to dialogue, there's never one meeting. There is a next meeting. So in the next meeting you suggest, no, that gentleman is it's not very profound. Let's get another person. And statistically, if you conduct 3 meetings and replace a few people in each meeting, you can get unanimous opinion out of track to discussion. And I have noticed this, and India has been a prey to this. We get enamored by track to dialogue. We get, one meeting in India, another meeting in US, so I have a chance to go abroad. But this is a way the rich and the powerful countries create a track to dialogue with a 100% unanimous agreement. So I got worried and I thought that we don't have enough people here. So actually, Mr. Brajesh Mishra was the NSA as well as Principal Secretary. So I asked him that, and of course he has been a seasoned diplomat. He must have known this for decades. But I told him that, look, what is this happening? So he asked me in his character, "To kya karna chahte ho?" So he said, "I want to start my own track too. Why should India be reacting to somebody? Somebody makes a proposal, so you react." I said, "I want to start a track too. If they play a game on us, we should also be able to play a game." So he looked at me, "Karoge?" I said, "Try to kar sakte hain." So he said, "Karo." And then he said, "Where are the people?" So I had not thought about this, sir. So I said, "नहीं ढूंढेंगे ये करेंगे." हाँ ढूंढो. Well, I don't know whether they will carry your bidding or their bidding. And I stopped that activity. So the short point is, I think I must admire people like Advocate Desai or Soumya Avasthi or other, who are kind of, creating that capability in the country. And I must tell you, compared to at least 10, 15 years ago, today there is, I won't say great capability, but some capability, which is very important. Otherwise, we are still suffering that subservient mindset, the so-called white skin complex, and whatever white man says must be right. And I have seen this myself, because when I said I put my red lines on Indo-US deal, everybody, for this fool fellow, he will let go a whole opportunity of developing cooperation with United States. So congratulations to you, congratulations to Sai, I think, for carrying this movement of developing strategic thought within the country. Now let me come to business school. You said it should. Now you can't connect these things to the markets and business. But the important thing is when new technology emerges, and nowadays these things are happening at a much faster pace than what they were happening earlier. Take the case of artificial intelligence. And now the technology is moving much faster than our ability to make policies, our ability to make governance rules. And it's also so powerful and so widespread that I think a time will come when governments will not be able to govern. I got convinced about it. Because by the time a government makes a rule, legislation and all, it has a finite process because, after all, there is a system. And technology would have done enough impact on the society. Some may be positive, some may be negative. So the challenge is, how do you deal with some situations? And I think this is where the institutions become very important than government. Universities. See, most important things in the world around us, the evolution of the world, has happened in the institutions of knowledge. And the institutions of knowledge is actually supposed to be a great pool of quote unquote wise people, and who can tell what is the right thing, what is the shape of things to happen tomorrow, who can advise governments, who can advise the members of the society as to how to deal with an emergent problem. Now, today what has happened is nobody bothers about this. Everybody, unless a policeman comes and shows a danda, nobody wants to behave. And I think it is important that the thought process, just like we're talking about strategic thought, the evolution of thought process is always maintained at the right level, regardless of these transitions which are taking place. So this question is, if you talk about this domain, technology and policy, it's always evolving, and you can't shape policies unless you know what the technology is, what are its impact, what kind of care one needs to take. And once you know the technology, you shape policy, you guide the technology further evolution in a particular way. So they go hand in hand. And so coming back to this book, the nuclear titans, there are scientists, there are diplomats, there are political leaders, statesmen. Now, it's not as if any one of them or all of them had an idea that India will make a bomb. It's far from it. Initially, they only knew that atomic energy is a new science, upcoming science. It could have a lot of ramifications. So it could be a great instrument of power. It could also be a great instrument of development. And particularly people like Bhabha, Nehru, they, in my understanding, they knew this very well. So they had an idea of what can happen, where it could be used. But at the same time, I think actual decision of what to do and when to do is a matter of evolution. And so even if it does great study in looking at who said what and how, I think what has been done in this book, you trace the biographical tales of these individuals, you see things unfolding. And it's a question of determination that I will have a bomb doesn't make that you will have the bomb tomorrow. It requires a lot of preparation. It may take preparation over decades or even longer. And when you're embarking on on an activity that long, you can't pinpoint and predict that I will use it in year so and so or year so and so, because that's it's how the history is unfolding, how the geopolitics is unfolding. So it's not as if you start precisely like a management exercise, you draw a plan and step one, step two. It doesn't happen like that. You have a broad idea and it's an evolution. It can take multiple pathways, and I am sure it has been in past and it will be in future. Tomorrow, depending on how things unfold, I can say with confidence, atomic energy will even now manifest different pathways. One simple thing, many of you may not like it, but I may nevertheless mention. We are talking about net zero. We are all worried about climate change, net zero. We are given great emphasis in renewable energy, which is wonderful, absolutely necessary. But we somehow have a mindset that renewable energy will solve all problems. Now, in my opinion, that mindset is wrong. If you decide that India will remain at developmental status as it is now, maybe this is right. But you can't do that. Aspirations travel. So either India, you raise your level comparable with the best United States, or if India remains like that, all good people will go to United States. So the important thing is, now you want to develop and you want to make sure that you don't emit carbon dioxide. And take it from me, 50% energy has to necessarily come from nuclear. Are we ready to do that today? I think the answer is no. And I think time will come when we'll find an answer. So the point I'm making is things evolve, and they evolve in multiple pathways. And maybe tomorrow there may be another turn, so it may not exactly happen the way I'm telling. And I think reading this book, you may not get an exact notion, but you may get different ideas. You may understand how these linkages are there, and that's the value of this book in my assessment. The last point that I wish to make is what Professor Kulkarni said. And that is, I think we are talking about an interdisciplinary world. Now, I am sure Dr. Soumya, when she was doing her research, technical issues must have been a big challenge for you, because I have told you some of them. Many of you will not capture that, but now I think you want to do a great job on strategic thinking. You cannot do unless you understand technology. Or on the other hand, you want to do a great job of technology, and you say that I am only a technologist, I am only a scientist, let me do my job and I am not worried about the rest of what happens in the society, humanity. I think you will not be successful. So I think we need to, of course, you mentioned that programs on international studies will launch. That, of course, is great. But I think with this new education policy, the cross connections, interdisciplinarity and all this coming, it should penetrate across the board. And this is one thing absolutely necessary, at least as we go forward. And that doesn't mean that we should also have, so now India is a big country. India has arrived on the global scene, a rising power. And so I think gone are the days, according to me, when we look at somebody coming, we look at that as somebody which creates us opportunity to go abroad. They make proposal, we look at that, react to those proposals in one way or the other. I think we should forget about all that. We should shape the agenda and we should carry that agenda forward. And that requires a large number of people who can do this. So who have to understand strategic thought, who have to understand the corresponding technology, who have to understand the political science part of it. And it's only then that India will be able to exert its, what you will call, soft power, hard power, whatever. And I know Finns is already engaged in these areas, so I wish you all the good luck. And this book will at least contribute something further in terms of not just nuclear, but other areas in bringing that capability in the country. Otherwise, we always look at short-term business. I always say, we are all governed, our policies are governed by vendors coming from abroad. And according to me, it's a very tragic, because we all see business there, we all see money there, but we tend to create a lot of harm to the country. So, so that's your contribution, and I want to compliment you for that, and thank all of you for tolerating me for so long. Thank you.